At the Academy Awards, the film Roma was snubbed. Written and directed by the award-winning Alfonso Cuarón, edited by the incredibly talented Adam Go, but featuring a largely novice cast led by the greenhorn Yalitza Aparicio. Amidst this particularly inept grouping of nominees, it seemed a shoo-in for Best Picture. While many critics and analysts would have you believe that the political nature of Hollywood and its academy is what led to Roma's marginalization, the matter of the fact is that this perspective doesn't acknowledge most of the context at play. The fundamental reason that Roma lost? It's simply un-American. To better contextualize Roman Americanness, we have decided to juxtapose it against the former Best Film winner, The Shape of Water. The idea is, as we showcase how The Shape of Water falls into the traditions of American filmmaking, one can better understand how Roma does not. Both films are helmed by two men from the same cultural background. Being specifically Mexican directors, both men are liable to bring into Hollywood filmmaking their traditional style. For starters, and perhaps this is the most consequential flaw of Roma within American gaze, is that gratification for the viewer is delayed.
The Shape of Water moves through beats rapidly and succinctly. Every instance of action on screen progresses the plot. The audience is never at a lack of stimuli. This means The Shape of Water always feels like it's going. Even the silences and pauses are necessary to the development of characters which ultimately prove, or rather drive, actions. They are enamored by the quippy friendship between Eliza and Giles.
Pretty baby of mine.
They get to experience the evolution of the romance between Eliza and the amphibian man. They get to see the tension visibly boil.
You deliver, that's what you do, you deliver, right? Right?
And later visibly resolved.
Oppositely, Roma falls into the vein of foreign cinema. The beats here are often not graphically representative of anything. Roma doesn't just pause. It drowns itself in its beats. The cumulative nature of this style stagnates the film. The audience is left struggling to distinguish, as if in slow motion, whether or not anything has happened. Progress is visually infeasible. Aside from this conceptualization of American narrative movement, plots in American cinema need to feel consequential. Change is mandatory.
In The Shape of Water, Eliza falls in love.
This water must be kept at 5.
She successfully helps the amphibian man escape.
The lights will go out, so be prepared.
She survives a shock. And in the end, Eliza lives out the rest of her life, perhaps as an amphibian woman,
To perceive the shape of you,
content to be with the creature she loves.
I find you all around me. Your presence fills my eyes with your love.
Oppositely, in Roma, our protagonist Cleo goes nowhere. There is not even a tangible evolution in the state of the family situation. The family starts fragmented emotionally. The family ends finally showing this state physically.
Está horrible. Sin los libreros, es horrible. A mí me gusta más así.
As for Cleo's pregnancy, it's a non-plot. Cleo is given a chance at American conflict, but the conflict resolves itself. This is a very un-American fashion. Cleo starts the story not pregnant, she ends the story not pregnant. The second major point we want to make is that in American narratives, not solely limiting ourselves to American cinema, it is important that the protagonist overcomes his or her sufferings. What is American narratively is to provide the audience someone they can root for emotionally. Because in American narrative, the protagonist is someone the audience is purposely put into the shoes of. The standard American narrative allows the audience to feel the success and growth of the protagonist. When the story ends, we have been driven to feel as if we have ourselves evolved as human beings.
In The Shape of Water, Eliza releases someone who's been marginalized like herself. takes the love that she desires, and reveals that monstrosity is deeper than skin. As a hero, Eliza is filled with agency, tackling her problems. An American way creates an American hero. Ultimately, we get to live out this fantasy with her. Of escaping a dead-end job, narrowly surviving and succeeding beyond the station that life had set out. This isn't accidental. We are purposely given someone to empathize with. So when Eliza survives breaking the rules,
What's going on? I've got water pouring into my theater. I have 4 paying customers. I got the water refund.
It's probably a pipe. I'll take care of it.
we feel rewarded for our individuality and morality.
In Roma, it's like we're trapped in a Shakespeare play. The tone here is consistently severe. Cleo starts as a maid, ends as a maid, and suffers the onslaught of trying to exist happily from such a station that is doomed to be ignored or worse, stepped on. Like a roach, we see Cleo survive. We never get to see her surmount. Thus, the protagonist of Roma remains status quo. She doesn't find love, she doesn't gain monetary success, and she most definitely doesn't overcome any of her given hardships. In the American tradition of cinema, the protagonist of the story is such because of his or her defining traits and characteristics.
In his divinity school address in 1838, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Imitation cannot go above its model. The imitator dooms himself to helpless mediocrity. The inventor did it because it was natural to him. In the imitator, something else is natural, and he bereaves himself of his own beauty to come short of another man's."
In American cinema, the audience is encouraged to accept that only the character given to us could have been put into this situation, and only this character is able to outmatch it.
Our protagonist Eliza is a cleaner at a research facility that soon becomes host to an amphibian man. As if by destiny, only Eliza is capable of witnessing the harm the amphibian man suffers, and through Eliza's sympathy streak, as if by divine right of being the only individual of her unique morality, Eliza frees him.
We have to go.
In Roma, there is nothing exclusionary about Cleo. She's just a run-of-the-mill maid. Perhaps the only thing special about her is that the family that sustains her living situation gathers closely around her. Even more peculiar is that the token matriarch of this family, Sophia, is suffering simultaneously along Cleo. It's as if Sophia had not serendipitously been suffering too, she could have never identified with Cleo. In conclusion, we feel that while Roma is an effective movie, it doesn't appeal to American pre-established aesthetic standards for understandability, desirability, and most importantly, digestibility.